Good evening. This is John Gregory Presco, come to you live from Springfield, Oregon. Reverend John, and this is the Where Art Thou show. And I am just blown away. I had a major breakthrough. I talked to somebody about these 10 mouse holes I keep looking at. Oh, 10 fingers, 10 mouse holes, along the baseboard. The questions, biblical questions that I have. And there's 10 spaces, and I keep my eye on it, because I don't have quite the answer, but I have a good question. So these are the good question holes, and then sometimes a mouse appears in one of the holes. I go, hole number 9. Something, some truth appeared in hole number 9. And I start looking. Man, they all lit up. But when I saw Donald Trump and his Reverend, what's his name, saying that it's hard to believe. I mean, I've been predicting this was coming, and I've written about it 3-4 times a day for 20 years. And now the day has arrived when you hear something that is just so loopy. I mean, it's so surreal. It's beyond LSD. It's beyond anything. It's the drug of megalomania, narcissism. It's watching the President of the United States staring its own reflection in this pool, and the evangelical Jeffers, and these evangelicals have been feeding his narcissism. They've been throwing, koi fish in his pool. I mean, just feeding him. So Jeffers said Trump has more biblical knowledge than the Pope Leo. Yeah. And then somebody made a meme of this. And it just, how do they find permission? These alleged men of God or men of Jesus or Christian nationalists, whatever you want to call them. How do they get this permission? I mean, where do they get it from? Who gives it to? Who signs off on it? But then I traced this to this golden statue with the Jews worshiping these golden bulls, and there's a statue in Key Largo with, I don't know, about 10 whole mouse holes of evangelicals there at the dedication of this golden statue, da, 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 gold finger. Da, I mean, it's unreal. Caligula, Nero is a candidate for the Antichrist. I don't know about Caligula. He was the Antichrist. But here comes Trump, and he's going to do better than all of them. And of course, he's got to do better than Netanyahu. Obama says he's out of hand. So, Netanyahu got his hundreds, the gold finger president got to have his thousands by attacking Iran. They're trying to blame it on Israel, but I don't, saying, we thought they were going to go first, and we thought we'd better. But God help us if Netanyahu didn't have any say so, and it's a competition thing. I mean, these people are bombing the hell out of the Islam, Muslims, and other nations, and killing women and children by the thousands. and they're threatening to kill more, and they're going to take more territory, Greenland and Cuba. So spiritual, holy permission. How do you get permission to make a gold statue of yourself? Commission somebody. See, and I've been publishing on the Thoraldson statue. Christos are coming to me. That looks over my Stuttmeister ancestors in Berlin, and I'm seeing this gold statue and these holy evangelical leaders and prophets around the statue, and then people are comparing it to the worshiping of false idols and the golden bull. I mean, last 2 days, I watched all of one series on World War II, started to watch another. Man, I tell you, I mean, the Nazis really, really, really thought they were superior to everybody, even some of their own German people. And they really were going to wipe out races and types of people, colors of people that didn't resemble them, that were golden in their eyes. The lead people, the trash people, the garbage people, they were just going to incinerate them. They started doing it. And the grace of God, Britain withheld and resisted. And Pearl Harbor happened that allowed FDR to enter the war. Otherwise, well, I do well. My blue eyes, my genealogy, I do well. So I thought about Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. That the evangelicals don't want Jesus anymore. They want this fool called Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. We don't care about the real Jesus. We want Barabbas. The gold man. He paints himself gold and goes crazy saying, this is the breakthrough. I looked at this name a lot. Not in a while. I thought it meant son of rabbi. And it doesn't mean son of a rabbi. I don't know how I picked that up. I was looking at the etymology in bar, son of, and Abba, that's Barabbas in there. It means son of the father. Son of the father. Wait a minute. Son of God? And just before that, I Googled, did Jesus ever say he's the Son of God? And not really. He kind of implied it, but didn't really come out and say it. But isn't that why he got prosecuted and harangued and harassed by the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees? Isn't that why they crucified him? Because he was saying, I'm the Son of God. Did he say that to anybody? You want to show me where he says, I am the Son of God? Come on, get your Bibles out. I am the Son of the Father. Come on, you should point it out to me where he says that. In an extinct way. Not a hinting, not a guessing. Do I kind of look like God? Well, no, you do look like Apollo, though. And that's cool with us, man. See, a lot of Jews followed the Greek and Roman gods. There were a million Jews in Rome alone, and they worshiped all kinds of Roman gods. And it was okay. It was okay to do that in Jerusalem because they were owned and controlled basically by Caesar. The emperor ruled Judea, okay, when Jesus was born, you know. So if someone wanted to paint themselves gold and go, I am the son of Yahweh, they go, crazy cuckoo, let him go. He's how many does that make this month? Oh, 155 people have painted themselves gold. I am Apollo, the son of Jesus of Nazareth. Apollo. Well, that's Paul. See, he was doing that. See, we're going to leave him out of this because it's too mind blowing, too friggin' mind blowing. So then I looked up the tradition of Romans releasing a prisoner, Passover. Yeah, Passover. Why not another Jewish holiday, No, well, guess what? It's a lie. It's a lie right there in the New Testament. That Pontius Pilate, they brought Jesus, son of the Father. Oh, did I say that? Wait a minute. So, okay, I've got ahead of myself here. I don't want to give this away because this is rich. See, the world is coming. The world of religion is blowing up right now before our eyes and ears and mouths. So there wasn't a tradition. So the people weren't shouting, "Give us Barabbas." Really? Maybe they were, John. So I went back to looked at Barabbas again. And I see a reference to Jesus, son of the Father. Boom. And I'm going to make notes for this, but this is all me sitting in my big chair, watching the end of golf, studying this, looking for Barabbas. My God. He's a big part of the pantheon, the Christian pantheon, the papal Christian, the vicar of Christ. See, Barabbas is big, goes Pontius Pilate. So there's a reference, one of the four Gospels, to Jesus, the Son of the Father. Jesus, the Son of the Father. Well, Jesus, means Savior. The Savior, the saving Son of God, Son of the Father. There it is. Could that have been altered and that the people knew who was a prisoner? And could they have possibly gone to where Pontius Pilate lives, his house, and were a crowd of people, with torches and pitchforks? And they said, give us Jesus, the Son of the Father. Hey, torches, pitchforks, any swords in the crowd. Well, you better call up my legion to slaughter these people, right? That's how reality went. See, but reality doesn't exist anymore because you've got this gold statue. You don't got Christus, coming to me. You got this kind of like C. Kyle narcissist, reincarnation of Caligula in front of the Key Largo with these holy people at the bottom of this golden statue. And what? Couldn't somebody have stopped this from happening? Because it's the fuse, folks. It's a fuse to the end of the world as we knew it. And we really haven't known the real world since 2016, since Donald Trump first announced he was a presidential candidate. So I looked at the Sanhedrin, the court, to see if they had a holiday or some tradition where they release a prisoner, because the crowd wants, they get a choice. They get democracy once a year on this Jewish, Shabbat or whatever, Yom Kippur or something, the Sanhedrin release a prisoner the crowd adores, right? The Sanhedrin has said, hey, we've judged this man guilty. He's going to be stoned to death. There isn't such a tradition. So I looked at capital crimes. And I thought about Jesus appearing in, supposedly, Nazareth and going into the synagogue and reading the book where it talks about the Jubilee. And I've written on the Jubilee tradition that the Sanhedrin got rid of about 50 years before Jesus was born. And I told you I went to the U of O library to look at the book I found. I thought it was there, couldn't find it, of these three rulings of the Sanhedrin. And one of them was the judging of the soda. We don't do that anymore. And the other thing they don't do is practice to release the prisoners and slaves. The Jubilee, they don't do that anymore. And then there was the ruling that every child born with a defect, a birthmark, blind, birthmarks, blind, couldn't hear. The ruling by the Sanhedrin was they were pre-marked by God as sinners, and therefore no rabbi need to minister to them. And those are all restored. So I told you I've been looking at the Mausoleum where Jesus reads from Isaiah, and if supposedly he says something that the common people, in the synagogue don't like, and they get angry and they grab him and they take him to a cliff and they're going to throw him over the cliff. I go, what the heck's that? What did he do wrong? And I read, I studied, this whole thing about there wasn't a prophet and blah, blah, blah. He didn't say anything wrong. He read from the Torah, from Scripture. So then I'm overlooking at the judgments of the Sanhedrin. And I wondered if throwing someone off a cliff is part of the punishment for some crime. And there it is, folks. There it is. Yeah. That's the beginning of the stoning. Okay? They don't just bring the person out and throw them before the crowd who have these stones. Here it is. They throw them off a high place first. And one article I read says it's about twice or three times the height of the person. So what is that? I don't know, 15 feet. So they take a person who's been sentenced to die. They push them off the cliff. They go down. And what happens? They break their ankles, right? At least, or leg or two. So they're not running away. But here comes a guy, one of the executioner, with a big rock, and he throws it hard as he can down on the chest of the person that's been shoved off the cliff. Ow. Boy. And if that doesn't hurt your heart, your lungs and stuff, and cause you to have a heart attack, or then they say, then they bring the people in with rocks to finish him off. Boom. But first, he's shoved off the cliff. You like that? You like that story now? Is it beginning to make sense to you? That someone, no, not someone, the Romans, well, did the Romans really kill Jesus, Son of God, for saying he's the Son of God? I mean, how many books have been written on this subject? How many pages and words by monasteries, by Jews, had studied this, and they're not even near what I've discovered. Not even close. They just, oh yeah. The Romans killed him. Can't be the Jews. Well, no, the Jews killed him. That's why we hate the Jews. That's why Christianity's been persecuted Jews, because they killed Jesus. Well, who is it? Romans, Jews killed Jesus. Isn't this simple? I mean, can't you, get an AI panel judges to do this? You don't even have to have human beings, theologians and the famous detectives and detective stories, right? Let's look at this Barabbas thing. Okay, let's drop it into the AI think tank. Give us Barabbas, give us Barabbas. Then they'd be doing what I did in about 3 hours' time, or 2 hours earlier this afternoon. Okay. It's 7:00. Well, it's 1 minute to 7. Then I'm reading about what makes up the great Sanhedrin. There's the great one of 71 people, and there's lesser one. There's one of 23. And I says, did Jesus walk in before the Sanhedrin in Nazareth? And he declared something that they didn't like, and they judged, execute him, take him over the cliff over there, take him over the cliff over there, and throw him off, and get a big stone and wham, down on his chest, and then if he doesn't die, he's still alive, then bring in the people with the stones. I should have been a rabbi for the last 30 years. I tried to become one. So, no, what I read was this. There's 71 members of the Sanhedrin. And who is number one? Who's number 71? 71. Who is that person? And they're the prince of the Sanhedrin. Did I say king? No, the person, a prince is under the prince is the son of a king, isn't it? So who is that prince guy? Here's the 70 over here. And here's this one guy who's called the Prince or the Nasi, Nasi, which also turns into the word Nazarite. You know that. Moses, the prince of the Sanhedrin, the judges, made up of the original elders that he took up to meet God face to face. And apparently they had dinner with him. You know, there's this whole thing about God says to Moses, you can't see my face or you'll die. Right, but I'm going to put you over in this crevice over here, and you just walk by. Oh, is that God in that crevice over there? Is that him? Hello, God. Okay, I can't see your face. And then you have it where when the elders, 70 elders came up, they go, oh gosh, I just seen the face of God. I'm surely going to die. Oh, hey, yeah. But then they have dinner with him. You know, what does he have his back to the 70 elders? Are you ready for the punchline, people? That'll free your mind, that'll get you out of this evil matrix created by Satan Paul of Tarsus. He altered this teaching. Moses is called the Son of the Father. Thou art my son. This is what God taught of Moses, and he was known as the Son of the Father. Okay, thou art my son. This is what God's words and prophecies in Moses 1. Thou art my son. Thou art my father. Where art thou, Barabbas, son of the Father, Jesus, son of the Father? Wow. My chest is tingling because I'm free and you're free now. There have been a prince of the Sanhedrin that rebelled or overturned some of the rulings by the Sanhedrin before them. And that's what I was looking for, that book. They got rid of the Jubilee. And he restored the Jubilee, and all of a sudden the people know he's done this. And they want their ancestors' land back. They want to be released from servitude as indentured slaves. They want the archives that contain their selling themselves, into servitude to be given back to them so they could destroy them, burn them. And that's what started the war with Rome, was the burning of the dead archives. Okay? This Jesus, Son of the Father, is probably a zealot, the Prince of Zealots. And he started the revolution against the Sanhedrin. There were two of them, one of the house of Judah and one of the house of Benjamin. There were two of them that set up shop at the entrance of the temple. And they had arguments, verbal arguments. And one of them is from Judah. Jesus is of that tribe. And the other was Benjamin. But he could have been of both, because I believe that Micah King Saul's daughter had David's baby, and that's the hidden lineage. So he was from both. There is a great rabbi. He has Judah in there, and Nasi, Nasi, and he's. You see that his name in the notes. I won't go into it now. But they say that one of his sons went to heaven without dying. Kind of an eye-cleaning, huh? But here's the thing. This whole thing when Jesus goes from Bethlehem to the temple with Joseph and Mary, he's 12 years old. And they lose track of him. But they don't lose track of him until they're a day away, and they go, "Wait a minute, where's Jesus? Huh? What do you mean? He was next. I thought you were looking after him." Says Joseph, "How old is he?" "Annie, you old buzzard." "And how old is Mary now?" "She's Elizabeth's cousin. She's older in years." Huh? See, it's another mouse hole I've been looking at. It's all coming together. See that, So they go back to the temple, and they find him, and he's astounding the elders with his knowledge. He's only 12, and he knows the answer to that riddle. Oh my goodness. We just lost one of the Sanhedrin died, and we're looking for a replacement. You'll do. Come on. You're going with us. Wait a minute. You can't take my ball from me. Yep. Oh, yes, I can. He's been elected by God. He's going to be maybe son of the Father. He's that brilliant. He's that smart. He might be another Moses, lady. Back off. Oh, I lost my son. Well, what do we do? This is horrible. We can't just take him home and for a little while and send him back to. No! Who are you? Don't you know how Moses and God set the hierarchy up? Don't you know the laws of the Torah? Well, actually, we do, because my brother-in-law, my cousin once removed. Oh, wait a minute. Her name's Elizabeth. She married Zachariah, who happens to be a biblical scholar. He serves in the Holy, and he teaches Jesus when he teaches his son John the Baptist. Oh, we knew that. Well, what's wrong with this scenario? It's full of shit, lady. It doesn't work. It's the most bogus story in the Bible. Oh, they couldn't find Jesus, Let me call him. Oh, Jesus! Where are you, boy? They didn't lose him. They brought him there. They knew he was brilliant, and so did Zachariah, and so did John and Elizabeth and Joseph. They knew Jesus had a gift for the Torah. He's 12 years old. He's on the transition becoming a man. Okay? And you are taught the Torah. That's part of it. Bar mitzvah and everything. You got to know your Torah. But he excels in his teaching. And he's brought there deliberately to fill in a vacancy in the Sanhedrin of the Jewish judges. But he also could qualify to fill the vacancy in the Benjamite. The guy's got it all. So what's the big secret, people? You wonder where anti-Semitism came from? Right here. And that's resulting in the Gaza being bombed into dust. That's resulting in crazy ass golden boy, invading Iran, close to the Straits of Hormuz. They gave the terrorist Islamic nation of Iran a great weapon, and we are screwed. Okay? So now you know why. The lies don't work. They eventually catch up with you, folks. And the evangelical Zionist national bullshitters who took over the Republican Party founded by my kin have destroyed our democracy, and they're on to destroy the world. Absolutely uh, horrific. And so the truth, and now this stopped working. I knew I should have charged you before I did this. Oh, wait a minute, there we go. Gonna turn this off. End the stream. I'll talk to you later, people. Be careful out there here.